Welcome back to The Truth with Trinity, and I am your host, Trinity. If this is your first time, welcome to the podcast. On this podcast, I talk about issues that happen within the black community and hopefully gain some food for thought or insight or advice. My topic of discussion is why is the black woman considered or called a gold digger? So, I want to make a small disclaimer. This does not go for all black men, and there are some beautiful brothers out there handling their business and they're taking care of their families, and they consider their women, their wives, their mothers, the queen of the planet Earth, and they're putting actions behind their words. So now that I've said that, I wanted to start off with a little bit of history. And I know it's a touchy subject even for young black people because it's been bombarded in our head that our history is boring and it shouldn't be talked about. But I don't think that's the case because if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. I don't think you should dwell on it, but definitely should know um, our history. It's very important. It might not be important to other people, but it's important to us. And it should be anyway. And we should pass it down to our children. Okay? So I want to go back in history. So I want to go back to the plantation. Okay? And I want to go back to the treatment of black women. So, of course, back then, black women were forced into, sexual activities, rape, and also from not just white men, but black men as well. Basically, um, you know, I guess, they didn't have any respect for us, black and white men. I think black men had more respect for us, but even they engaged in some rape um, and violence toward black women. And the black man back in slavery times, no matter what happened between him and black women, he knew that he could be castrated for even looking at white women a certain way. And, white women were considered the belles of society, southern belles, princesses, anything they wanted. It was never too much for their men. So I think that black men spent a great deal of time, hundreds and hundreds of years, being over here in America as a slave, seeing the white woman be treated and put on a pedestal. And, while she wore gowns and beautiful dresses, we were given sackcloth and, rags, along with the black men as well. They weren't wearing tux back then either, But I'm making a point. So this is a whole, generation after generation of conditioning that black women don't deserve much. Because, mind you, as the black man was out there on the plantation picking cotton and doing all sorts of work, so were we as black women back in those times. So I want to fast forward a little bit into the future now because I believe there's a correlation. There are practices that subconsciously are still being played out in our society, even in the year 2020. Okay, so there is a such thing called a gold digger. A gold digger, in my definition, is a woman who seeks out a man solely for his assets, his financial capabilities, and she doesn't have any care for the man at all. And if he was to ever lose his money, she would, ditch him or leave him, break up with him, and she's always looking for the next man um, who has more than the man that she may be currently with. She may not have any type of finances herself, may have poor credit. She's always looking for someone to give her what she does not have within herself. Okay, so that kind of sums up what a gold digger is. But what I find in some, so I'm not saying all, but in today's black man, is that, and it's been like this for a long time, they are telling black women, they're just mislabeling. I think it's because of society. I believe society has told the black man that his woman is worth nothing. She's worth sex, a good time in the bed, but if she's to ever, ask for anything, oh, she's a gold digger. She can ask for a McDonald's meal, a Happy Meal, and she's considered a gold digger. Meanwhile, we have white women who at times have murdered their husbands for their life insurance. They've left men, for not having millions of dollars. Maybe he had 700,000, but she still left him, and they're not really considered gold diggers in the society. But yet the black woman, for wanting just the bare necessities, is considered a gold digger, and I just find that disturbing. With our black men, I understand it's been tough. They don't have it equally. It's not equal as far as their pay. It's not equal as far as them being able to provide for their family. But the problem is, I think, back in maybe the 30s and the 40s, I think there was more of a harder working black man than there is now. And they at least tried. I don't know if I'm mistaken. Not all black men, but I think a lot more of them tried back then to provide the things that a woman, needed. And now I find in a lot of our younger generation, our young men want to be the boss. They want to be the head of the house. They want a woman to conduct herself in a certain manner, but they are not offering anything in return. A lot of them don't want to work. And, that's just a imbalance in the home right there. And especially if the sister is working, okay, and she is taking care of business, and, even 50-50, some sisters are having it hard just to get a brother to do 50-50. And I want to make things clear, it is a man's job to provide for his home, okay, to put a roof over his family's head, his children, and his wife. If you've never heard of that, you're hearing it today. Okay? And what it is that wherever you fall short as a man financially, that's where your woman, can take up the slack and the bills. But it should never be that she's out there working full-time, 2 full-time jobs, and you're not working anything. There is a problem with that. And that's not called being a gold digger. It's not at all. And how dare in society that it's one thing for white men to feel that way about his own woman, of course. But where's the black man to feel like we deserve the White House and picket fence? And okay, and I don't think that's a fantasy. Because if you can't get the White House and picket fence, why can't you at least get something? A townhouse, something, honey. So I challenge, the black man to have more value in his woman and to know the difference between a woman who is using you for money and she does not have any care for you, and she'll leave you at the drop of a dime because she found someone with more money, versus a good woman who is hardworking herself, and not to top it off, if she has your children, okay, because that's what's going on in the black homes as well, is that I believe a lot of our brothers, they have not had manhood training. And whatever training they've had from men has been negative, and it's been poor advice. because a true man knows that if you're a man and you're having children with a woman, and hopefully she's your wife, in order for the children to succeed in life, the mother has to be there, especially in the younger stages of their life. Toddler, preschool, elementary. She has to be there to nurture them. And when the black home splits up, that causes the mother to have to be out the home and work so much more, and there's no supervision on the home. There's no supervision on the children. So the children are unsupervised, they're getting into trouble, and then not only are they getting into trouble, but outside influences are influencing your child. That's why it's important for the black man and woman to stick together for family. If there's no domestic violence going on in the home, or anything that's detrimental to one or the other's life, it's very important to stick together for the children's sake. And hopefully, there should be some romance between the two parents. But it really messes up the children's lives when the parents are not together. So, because I hear a lot of guys, I didn't mean to dwindle off, but I hear a lot of guys, they're calling their children's mothers prostitutes because they are asking for money, and they feel like it may be too much, or it exceeds the care of a child per month. It's very expensive to raise a child, and I think and I hope that black men have more respect on a broad average scale. So I'm not saying all black men, but we do know the percentage that I'm talking about. I know you see it every day in the everyday cities, that you have more respect for your children's mothers, because it's not just about money. It's about the quality of life for your children, your offspring. When you die, the legacy that you leave behind with your children. Okay? And like I said, when as a man, when they're, just overusing the word gold digger, especially with their children's mothers, it causes financial strain on the mother to have to work a lot more hours, and it really destroys the children's lives. Okay? So I want to challenge black men to really get to know the women that they are procreating with. Okay, get to know them a little more than their silhouette and what shape their bodies are, and get to know if she's a gold digger or not, or if she's just asking for a fair share. And there really is no price tag on the black woman. She is priceless, and money, it has nothing to really do with money when it comes to love. That wraps up this segment on my podcast. I thank you for tuning in this evening, or if it's afternoon where you're at. If you have any suggestions or any questions, you can reach me at thetruthwithtrinity@gmail.com. It's been a pleasure. Peace and blessings.